Welcome back to the Backyard Project. My name is Alex Murray, also known as AC Axel. We are going to be moving on to the second games of the week after the All-Star break, which is going to be actually on a Saturday in game, as all of the schedules, as I can get to this page here really fast, have all been adjusted to reflect a couple of days off that all teams got. So we've gotten through the technically quote-unquote Monday games, and we're going to go ahead and get started into the Wednesday games, which is going to be on a Saturday. So we might just call these Saturday games instead and just leave it at that. So we'll see what happens if we go ahead and stop the simulations on today's stream or video here, and if we then do the next week actually on the Monday, or if we will adjust. I don't know. We'll see. There needs to be a way that I can start to plan how we do this. Technically, if we keep the schedule going as usual, we would end up going all the way through the Monday, and then use the stream on Saturday to do the Thursday, Saturday, and Monday games to end the month. So I think that's the general plan and gist of what we are looking at right now. Here are your standings for June 19th. This is Season 2 of the Backyard Project. Again, Tony Gwynn Sr. coming out of nowhere for the Sunny Day League to get a .433 batting average. That now leads the Sunny Day League. Pablo Sanchez still tied for the lead of 13 home runs, right there with Alfredo with 4. Grady Sizemore had a good last game and now has 40 RBIs, which is still one behind Fred Benson over on the Clanky League. Lena Inge had her 15th homer in the last game, and Chris Jardine continues to bat .500. So some pretty cool little records still happening around the league. Benji Molina for the, what team is that? The Frogs? On a 15-game hitting streak, and Jason Bay for the Highlanders on the opposite side having a 14-game hitting streak. At the moment, none of the pitchers are below 1.0 ERA anymore. In fact, only one starting pitcher is below 2.0, and that is Al Johnson of the Pioneers, who should be making, he just made his 11th start of the season, dropping his ERA down from 163 to 147. So Al Johnson definitely having one of the best seasons I've seen from any of our submitted players so far over the course of any of these two seasons. And that's even including some pretty big names like Benjamin Abenduk from last year. This performance, it has been phenomenal. Like, there's definitely something to be said about the longevity of his performances. He has decent enough stamina, and he's just managed to get really good movement and control over a lot of his pitches, which I was not expecting from what his statistics look like. So Al Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, has been probably the best submitted pitcher outside of maybe Guy Walker. But that's mostly just because of the fact that Guy Walker has a 2.8 WAR and a 2.36 ERA, but he's only 5-5. So Walker has not gotten the best run support from the Koalas, but he also has had a couple of bad starts that have really messed up his ERA, as it's been coming down back from the 3s, I believe, which it had been for a while. Yeah, he had the one bad start, second game out, and then a couple of 3-run given up games, a couple of problems with errors. His team has had some problems with errors, so it'll be interesting to see what happens as Guy Walker and Al Johnson continue to move down the road as we get further and further into the season, into the second half of this season. So, for today's baseball games, we're going to see Cluckers and Tiki, a huge matchup right off the get-go. Ali Wadi versus Albert Shendog. Pretty huge matchup right about here. In fact, I kind of want to review this for the Cluckers, because I would feel like Ali Wadi and Abwanza are probably going to be swapping positions for this start at least. Ali has not been having a good last couple of games, unfortunately, so I believe that this is a good time as ever to swap those two out. So instead, actually, it'll be Judy Abwanza versus Albert Shendog. Good matchup right about there. Both teams wanting to get to 20 wins. One will make it, one will not. And the answer is the Tikis. Tikis will finally win number 20. It took them a total of, I believe it's 5 games. Yes, 5 games. After almost going lossless through all of May, it has taken them almost all of June to get that last little sucker to come through, as they do take down the Cluckers 7-1. So a good performance for Shendog. 7 and a third inning, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, 7 hits. Abwenza does okay. A couple more runs given up by Potter, but the offense for the Cluckers is not quite going to be able to cut it, as they only get 7 hits and 1 run off of those 7 hits. Matt Holliday did everything he could for the Cluckers, but good job by Bino and Green and Swamp, and even Takefield coming in with the 1-for-4 performance with a walk. You'll still take that in the wins at this point for the Tikis. You're just looking for playoffs at this point. So a good performance for the Tikis. Good job for them. No safe situation for that ball game, though, so it's just the win and the loss for Shendog, his 7th win of the season, and Abwenza, her 4th loss of the season. So Slam Bino, the player of the game for that one right about there. 3-for-4, double, single, home run, 5 RBIs, and a run scored. So a pretty good matchup right about there for the Tikis. All right, the 13-18 teams. Threshers, Privateers, Barry Zito versus Kenny Powers. Huge advantage to Barry Zito and the Privateers. Let's see if they can pull this one off. And they will. 7-2 is your final score. The Privateers take it to the Threshers pitching staff, and especially that bullpen. A couple of home runs given up. Hobbs and Murray giving up 1 each at this point. 6 runs combined between the two of them. And that comes off of a 3-run homer to Vlad Guerrero. He had 2 3-run home runs off of the bullpen, so they should have just walked Guerrero. Oh man, that's Guerrero Senior, by the way, too. That's not the rookie. So Vlad Guerrero, 3-for-5 performance, 6 RBIs on the 2 3-run homers in back-to-back innings, just completely destroys the Threshers' chances of being able to win this ball game, and they will fall to 13-19. Hobbs gets the loss and a 3rd blown save of the season. Hoffman comes in and even gives up 1 more run in the 9th inning. McBlevins gets the win, his 2nd of the season, dropping his ERA down a good little bit as well. So good news all around right there for the Privateers, who are trying to bounce back from a couple of bad losses, I believe. They've got a lot of work to go, but a win right there, that says a lot for a team that's trying to come back. Pioneers at the Robins. That's the 20-win Pioneers, and Tim Lincecum, 1-5 for the regular season. 3.41 ERA, though, so Lincecum has been doing really well, but his team has just not been supporting him, which is amazing considering that he's basically accounted for almost half of their losses. Nancy Chin will be the competitor going up for the Robins. And the Pioneers will win it, finally, giving Lincecum just enough support. 2-1 victory. Otsuka gets save number 13 of his regular season, dropping his ERA down to 4.0. So a good job by Lincecum. 6 innings strong, 5 walks, 6 hits. So a lot of people getting on base for the Robins, but in the end, runs are what counts. And the Pioneers will take this one 2-1. Over the Robins. So a good job for their offense to scrounge around a couple of extra runs off of what appear to be, scoring singles? A single and maybe a double, I believe. Maybe. I think the doubles ended up just getting scored by themselves. Ooh, Jim Thome, 0-for-4 of 3 strikeouts. That is not a good performance for the big power hitting left-hander right there. But yeah, good performance from the pitching staff for the Pioneers. They will go to 21-11, so good win for them right about there. The Squirrels and Mike Mussina will go up against the Giants and Pseudonym. Bit of a high ERA matchup right about here between these two ball clubs. Squirrels looking for their 19th win of the season. Giants looking to go back to 500, and they will not get it. The first inning is all it took, as the Squirrels get 3 runs in the first inning off of Pseudonym, and they cruise to their 3-0 victory. Zeros across the board all the way through the rest of this game. Is that a 3-run homer by Reynolds? It was. So Cheryl Reynolds hit the 3-run homer in the first inning. That's out of the cleanup spot right about there, and that was all she wrote. They got no other hits other than those 3 in the first inning, and then only 4 hits combined for the Giants. So a really, really lackluster hitting game for both sides as Messina goes actually the complete game. So a fantastic pitching performance from Mike the Moose Mussina. So a great job from him to do the complete game shutout, 4-hit shutout too, and no walks. So a fantastic pitching performance from Mike Mussina. We'll have to see if that ends up being one of our highest scored pitching stat lines at the end of the season, because that's impressive right about there. But the Squirrels will go to 19-13, and they don't get the save because of that complete game from Mussina. Otherwise, that would have been going potentially to Harding. Would have been probably her 9th save of the season at that point. But Mussina managed to get it done, so congratulations to him. Good performance. The Goats and Admirals, crazy train, and the Admirals looking for win number 21. The Goats looking to stay above 500. If a loss here, that would bring them back down to 500. They would prefer not to do that. The Admirals, very good at home. Very good at home. CC Sabathia going up for the Goats in counterparting to Crazy Train. But the Admirals will win it. CC Sabathia gets out-dueled by Crazy Train. 3-1 is your final, 9 hits to 3. The Admirals will take win number 21. The Goats will fall back to 500. Crazy Train goes 6 2/3 of an innings pitched, 3 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts given up. Sohono gets save number 2 of the regular season, and Amir Khan in the setup position, technically. Getting the hold, his first of the season. He's been trying to bounce back from a couple of blown saves, so he might be actually looking like he's in a good position to be reinstated now, because he had got that ERA, had gone all the way back up to 3.86. Well, it had been rough all season. It had been coming down all season, but it had gone back up to 3.27. That's what the problem was. After a couple of blown saves and an absolute loss, he's dropped it back down to below 2.5. So we'll definitely see if Amir Khan can regain his closing position, or if Sohono will keep that closing position. Sohono's been really, really good when they've been able to use Arini. So we will see what they decide to do about that. I actually don't know if that's supposed to be a female or male submission. It might be a girl. So if my apologies if it is, it's a she at that point. But either he or she, I don't remember what the gender is, unfortunately, for this one. Good chance for the Admirals to be able to use either or, though, moving forward. So good performances for both of them. You want to see that. You love to see that. So whoever's going to be going forward, you got to be thrilled for all the Admiral fans out there. You got a good double duo in both of those two. The Ducks and Astronauts up next. Tud McGruff versus Kyler Murray. Matchup of the higher ERAs again here for number 2 starting pitchers. Both of these teams are, I believe, mostly offensively focused instead of pitching. So the Ducks looking to keep moving forward, and the Astronauts looking to not fall back to 500 here. And unfortunately, they will. The Ducks score early and often, scoring 7 runs in the first 5 innings. The Astronauts try to come back in the bottom of the 7th, but it's not enough, as Murray will get his 6th loss of the season. McGruff gets his 4th win, and the Ducks will take it 7-6. 10 hits combined for both, or a piece for both teams. Good day for most of the middle of the order for the Ducks. Oh, wow. Great job by Courtney Valentino. 5 RBIs on a 2-for-5 performance. That included a grand slam in the 5th inning. So the 4 runs in the top of the 5th all coming off that grand slam by Valentino. And that was the huge spike, number 3 on this bar graph at that point. So a good job by the Ducks to stay consistent with their offense, even after a couple of their runs going through were not earned. So Ted McGruff only getting the 4 earned runs against him, but Murray gets 7. So a good job by the bullpen for the Astronauts to keep it close, using Frump, Sofax, and Bosworth to be able to keep the game in check. And they almost pulled it off, too, having the staged comeback in the bottom of the 7th inning. That would have been off of McGruff, actually. But Peter Levine comes in for the 2-inning save, his 3rd save of the regular season. And unfortunately, it will fall to the Ducks. They will win, and they will get their 18th victory. The Astronauts fall back to 500, so they fall back to earth, unfortunately, for the rest of this week at least. The Captains and the Foxhounds, the reverse records, 20-11 and 11-20. Cubby Virus versus Mo Willis. Big matchup right here for the Foxhounds. They'd love to be able to take some more wins at home where they have been above 500 for the regular season. The Captains really good on the road, though, 12-3. Very good record to have on the road at this point. And the Captains will just absolutely destroy the Foxhounds, 16-2. They score 11 runs in the first inning alone. Mo Willis can't even escape the first inning as he gets recorded for 10 earned runs on 8 hits, 2 walks, just can't get people out. and the Captains just cruised to a 16-2 victory over the Foxhounds, not even giving up much runs for the 8 hits given up to the Foxhounds themselves. Good performances from Jeff Conine, Eric LaBelle, and Jeff Bagwell. Conine and Bagwell hitting 2 home runs each. So that's 7 RBIs for Bagwell, 4 RBIs for Conine, 3 for LaBelle. So a lot of the main contributors right from those 3 batters right about there. Cubby Virus goes 7. Wasarsis comes in for the cleanup duty at the 2 innings at the end of the game. And just not a whole lot to be said about that ball game right about there. Pretty big matchup. And Captains starting to flex their muscles once again as they take down the Foxhounds. All right, our last 2 games for the Clanky League here, the Frogs and the Cacti. Big matchup right about here between the Frogs and Cacti, both high-quality caliber teams. The Frogs have the best record in the entire league, and it's Alex Verdugo going up against Roy Oswald here this evening. Again, Alex Verdugo, the only pitcher to have, I believe, to have an unbeaten record still at this point. I think we might have 1 or 2 other people out there, but 7 wins and a 7-0 record has Alex in a very good spot for his Frogs. Roy Oswald has been solid so far this regular season, and the Cacti are looking to continue to move upwards as they have been trying to catch the Tikis for a while now after they lost their first place back in May. So the Tikis and Cacti definitely looking to continue to move upwards, and a good chance here for the Cacti to be able to make a good little statement. Let's see if they can do it against the Frogs. And they can. Almost losing it in the top of the 9th inning. Verdugo's blemish-free record is unfortunately now stained as he falls to 7-1, his first loss of the regular season, and he actually didn't even do too terribly. The 2 home runs being his couple of little, probably the finishing blows. Well, those were back actually in the 4th and 2nd innings, so it was just the consistency of the offense from the Cacti, getting 5 runs off of Verdugo. 6 2/3 of an innings pitched, 10 Ks, 8 hits, 1 walk. But those 2 home runs and just the constant barrage of offensive assault from this Cacti squad is just really impressive to see. So all of the runs happened in the last 3 innings of the game. The Cacti ended up popping in 7 runs in the 7th and 8th innings combined, and then the Frogs almost caught up with 6 runs in the top of the 9th. To be able to try to make a game out of it. That was all off of James Kirk, who had been doing quite well. He had his ERA back down to 4.07 and gave up the 6 runs in that entire ball game. He has been used a lot by the Cacti, though, and Billy Wagner had to come in to get his 5th save of the season, which is a good thing. They had him left over to be able to help them out with that situation. Wagner gets save number 5. Meyer, I think it's Meyer, gets win number 1 of the regular season after being able to come in the 7th inning to get the go-ahead runs from the offense. So Verdugo, unfortunately, will get saddled with a loss number 1 of the regular season. Offensive productions for both squads saw Cliff Floyd and Paul Konerko getting the home runs. Fred Benson got homer number 9, by the way, for the Frogs. That was number 9 for Cliff Floyd as well. Manny Hatan, 1 for 4. Maxwell had a 3 for 4 day. Good job overall by both squads. Looks like Benji Molina continues his hitting streak. And Jake Tyler Matthew, 4 for 5 performance. A great job to raise the batting average up from 183 to 211. So that's what you want to see from your defense orchestrated shortstop / third baseman. So that's a great job right there for the Frogs to see that kind of production. We'll have to see if they can continue to get more of that down the road. Maxwell and Matthew getting the big bats of the game award right about there. All right. Our last game of the Clanky League is going to be the Mallards and the Apollos. Tim Hudson versus Tom Glass. Good chance here for the Mallards to be able to try to get 1 game back, improve that 10-21 record. They would want to be able to tie the Foxhounds at 11-21 if they could do that. And unfortunately, they will not. The Apollos score 4 runs in the first inning, and that's all they need. Chris Jardine goes 2 for 3 for the day with a walk, continues to get the batting average up above 500. It's now 504. Ken Griffey Jr. hits the 3-run home run off of Tim Hudson in the first inning. So you get runners on in front of Ken Griffey Jr., and that's all she wrote. That's really all you need. And unfortunately, the Mallards will drop this one 4-2 to the Apollos. They even out-hit the Apollos 8-5. Scattering those hits across all their players almost, though, is all that Tom Glass needed, as he was able to go 6 1/3 inning, only giving up the 1 earned run on 8 strikeouts. Tim Hudson was eerily similar, with a 6 1/3 performance, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts, but gave up 3 additional walks, and of course the home run in the first inning to Ken Griffey Jr. So that was pretty much the only difference in the ball game, was that home run to Ken. And Manaya Hatan gets save number 9 for the Apollos. So Tom Glass win number 6, Tim Hudson gets lost number 5. Pretty good performance from both sides, though. I definitely would feel pretty happy if I was an Apollos fan, and especially if I'm a Chris Jardine fan. I'd be very happy about all that. All right, moving on to the Sunny Day League games. We had the Kangaroos at the Ninjas. Both teams 17-14. Brandon Webb versus Leo Wayne. And the winner for this ball game is going to be the Kangaroos and Brandon Webb. Great performance by Brandon Webb, going 6 strong innings, making way for Sato to come in and get save number 10 of the regular season. Doubles going to a couple different players for the Kangaroos. That was all they had, though, in the game, was doubles and singles, as the Kangaroos will win this ball game 2-0, 11 hits to 5. So they definitely had the hits, and they should have gotten probably some more runs. But 13 strikeouts for the Kangaroos meant that they left a lot of people on base. 10 as a team, in fact. So both teams had a lot of people left on base, as the Ninjas got 9 walks. Dan Carolina got 3 of them all by his lonesomes. So the Ninjas had opportunities, but an outfield assist and just runners left on base is just not the way you want to be able to go about doing this. So unfortunately, the Ninjas just couldn't get any offense rolled together with their walks and hits. And Brandon Webb will get win number 6 of the regular season. Saito stayed number 10. Leo Wayne lost number 5. And the Kangaroos will move to 18-14. The Ninjas fall to 17-15. So big matchup right about there going forward. The Lake Monsters and the Crushers are up next. Kurt Schilling versus Yang Kim. Good opportunity here for the Lake Monsters to be able to move forward in their division. I think they're with the Kangaroos in the Exotics division, I believe. So a big matchup right about here for them. And the winner of this game is going to be the Lake Monsters, as they will take down the Crushers 3-1. The Crushers struck first in the bottom of the second inning, but Kurt Schilling and his offense responded in the 5th and 6th. Home runs going to, is that Wing Quan? Yes. And of course, Havoc Jones, or Huron Jones, my apologies, second baseman for the Lake Monsters, getting a home run in that ball game. Garfunkel gets save number 9. So Simon Garfunkel still doing pretty gosh darn well for this Lake Monsters squad. As Kurt Schilling gets win number 4, drops the ERA down. 6 innings of solid work, giving up the solo home run to Quan in the second inning, and that was all that she wrote. Marcellus Marks having a good day for the Lake Monsters. 2 for 3 performance for him. And then Arnie Arneson doing pretty gosh darn well for the Crushers. 2 for 3 performance for him, too. So a good job about there. Wow, that's bad right there, though. 0 for 8 for your number 4 and number 5 hitters, and 5 strikeouts on a 0 for 8 day. That's not how you get the job done for the Crushers. So the Crushers not crushing it at all, and definitely have some answers to be making up for the next couple of weeks at this point. The Manatees and Lancers. The Lancers, I believe, are our very last team to not hit double-digit wins, and they have a great opportunity right here to be able to get that against the Manatees. Langston Steamboat versus Rufus von Frankensmutter. Von Frankensmutter has not had a good season so far, but let's see if he can pull something off against the Manatees right about here, as they are best at home. So we're hoping and praying for the Lancers right about here. And unfortunately, it's not what the Lancers were hoping for. The offensive performance was good, but their pitching performance was not so good. And the Manatees will take this one 11-9 behind 14 hits, backing up their offensive juggernaut production, which is a whole bunch of contributors across all of their lineup. In fact, every single starting player got a hit. So that is how you do it right about there, folks. All the way from Snoopy the Beagle all the way down to the pitcher, Linus Steamboat himself. Or Langston, sorry. Langston Steamboat himself. Everybody got hits. So a good performance from the offense of the Manatees. And wow, the top three hitters for the Lancers just couldn't get anything started. So Pushy, Alex Rodriguez, Pete Wheeler combined 0 for 14 with a walk and 6 strikeouts. They did score 2 times, but not a good performance if you're looking for some offense. And Von Frankenschmuter only goes 4 1/3 inning, gives up 9 runs before having to give way to the bullpen. 3 home runs given up against Frankenschmuter, unfortunately. Langston Steamboat only goes 4 2/3 of an inning, giving up 6 runs. And then Linus Vader comes in, gives up 2 unearned runs in 2 innings of work, before eventually Brad Lidge gets save number 7 in the bottom of the 9th. So big matchup for the Lancers unfortunately goes awry. They will have to look to their quote-unquote Friday game to be able to get win number 20 of the regular season. Moving on, we have the Highlanders at the Whistlers. Corn Cobb versus Frankie Fernandez. A couple of 4 ERA pitchers right here who have been needing some good performances to prove that they are number 2 quality pitchers. The Highlanders also looking to get that road split a little bit better than 4-11. They're good at home, but they are definitely not good on the road. Let's see what they can do against the Whistlers, who are good at home, by the way. And the Whistlers take it to them. 7-2 is your final score. Good performance from Frankie Fernandez. Goes 8 1/3 inning, 2 runs given up, 4 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. A solid performance from the Whistlers starting pitcher. And it looks like it was mostly the bullpen for the Highlanders that just couldn't quite figure out how to keep the game in check. And they couldn't get any really big hits behind their beginning offense, as Biforo and Thomas are kind of held in check for most of the ball game, both of them being their major offensive production people. And then just the singles and, wow, just everything coming through for the Whistlers, as they had 14 hits over the course of the game, and they will take the game 7-2 over the Highlanders. Big game for Kenny Lofton, Jermaine Dye, even Daryl Sin having a pretty good game for them. And just, again, mostly Fernandez. You got to give it to Fernandez for having a solid 9K performance in 8 1/3 innings pitched. That's great. That's what you want every single day from your number 2 pitcher. So Frankie Fernandez drops the ERA down a little bit further every single time. We'll see if he can keep going back down to where he was supposed to be, I believe, a ace starter for the Whistlers. But they have had Mark Burley in their ace position because Frankie has been having some major problems with some of his starts. Mostly his 3rd and 4th start were atrocious, to say the least. He has been much better since then. So we'll see if they want to start looking at some of the splits a little bit more down the road, and if they put Frankie back in that number 1 position. We will see about that, guys. The Marmots taking on the Kings on the road. So the Marmots looking for their 21st victory of the season. The Kings looking to finally crawl back towards 500. They have struggled immensely this season. Bad Boy Bubby versus Marco DiGiovis. DiGiovis of the Kings. DiGiovis definitely needing to have a good performance here to be able to solidify number 2 position for him. And they will actually get it. Wow, a great performance from Marco. 7 1/3 inning, no runs given up, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 7 Ks to boot. Anna Marin, I believe, gets save number 5. She has been solid for the Kings in the chances she gets to be able to close out ball games whenever she can. And the Kings will take this ball game 5-1 against the Marmots. So a good performance from the Kings when they needed it against potentially the best team the best team in the Sunny Day League. So the Marmots fall to 20-12. The Kings get their 14th win. A lot of silenced bats on the Kings are on the Marmots side, and then Alex Rios and G-Man definitely having great performances for the Kings on their side. So you love to see that. Alex Rios having the 2-run homer in the 7th inning. That was part of their 4-run inning, which I believe knocked out Bubby. Yeah, it did. That knocked him out in the 7th inning. So great job. Great job right there by the Kings. We even had somebody thrown out arguing balls and strikes. Oh, Don. Why? But yeah, the Kings will take this one 5-1. The Jazz look to go to 500 as they are taking on, or they're at the Swatters. My apologies. Swatters are 8-8 at home, so the Swatters love being home, and the Jazz don't like being on the road. So we'll see who wins this ball game, as it's Bubba Ray Jones versus Henri Deschennes. Henri has been really good as a hitter, has not been as good as a pitcher. So the two-way splits are definitely tougher for some of these people when it comes to being able to be an ace pitcher and an ace hitter. So we'll see if Henri can have a good game here or not. And at the end of the day, he does not. Henri will take the loss, number 7 of the regular season for Deschennes. Ray Jones gets win number 5 as the Jazz will take it to the Swatters 9-4. The Jazz even got, Swatters even got 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to try to at least mount some kind of a comeback. But the just offensive juggernaut of the Jazz is just way too much to overcome. Boom Boom McBroom has home run number 13 in the 8th inning off of Nan Porter. So Henri Deschennes goes 5 1/3, gives up 6 runs. Carey comes in and gives up 1 unearned, and Nan Porter finishes it off with 2 more unearned runs. Bubba Ray Jones goes 8 innings, 1 earned run given up on 7 hits and 2 walks and 9 Ks. So a great job by the Jazz starter, Bubba Ray Jones. Gets to drop the ERA down below 5 for, I think, potentially the first time all season. Outside of his second start, that is his lowest ERA he's had all season. So a good time for the Jazz to be getting their number 2 starter in a good position as they move to 500 and have great offensive productions from Albert Pujols and Boom Boom McBroom. So the Jazz are starting to get on a bit of a roll here, and if they keep this up, they could be a competitor. To say the least, as they are starting to finally make some noise, if you don't mind the pun about that, as they are going to be potentially in a tie for first place. So that's the line right there, the Jazz going right up to meet up with the Nobles. Let's see if they can actually get that. The Nobles are our last game of the day, so we'll see if the last division is going to be a tie, or if the Nobles can keep that lead to be a 1-game lead. The Warlocks will have David Donovan and Pablo Sanchez going up against the Reapers, who are 19-12. They have become one of our unsung performers as they have suddenly come out of nowhere. They've been pretty good all season, but they had dropped down and had kind of fallen behind the Whistlers and the Ninjas. They've always stayed a close second, but now, they are in a position to be in a good spot right about here. They could take a 1-game lead over their division and be in a very solid 20-game winning spot for the regular season. Just past the halfway mark would be a very nice place to be right now. Sally Dobbs, by the way, is going to be going up for the Reapers. So let's see who wins this matchup. See if Pablo Sanchez can come through for his Warlocks. He cannot. No home runs. And the Warlocks will fall. Another loss for Nameless Poet as he gets his 3rd loss of the regular season. It won't be a win for Dobbs. Mike Willis gets win number 2. Umberto Anders. My apologies. Some of these names are really hard on my tongue. Umberto Anders gets save number 5 for the regular season. Both Umberto and Mike combined for 4 innings pitched. So a good job recovering from Sally Dobbs' shorter start. And I don't think there was any home runs across the board. Pablo Sanchez did manage to go 1 for 4 for the day, but Greg Vaughn, 2 for 4, basically outshone Pablo today. So Pablo's starting to fall behind a little bit now. Has dropped the batting average down to only .415 after having a couple of 1 for 4 performances. So Pablo fans are going to have to start asking some questions about just how good this secret weapon is. If he keeps dropping down like this, he could become a little bit unproductive, and they don't want that right now. They need Pablo Sanchez. So a good win right there by the Reapers to get to 20 wins. This is their 5th win in a row, by the way. So they're on a 5-game winning streak. And they will take a good, commanding 1-game lead over their division as well. The Mythics and Isotopes are up next. Jason Martin versus Michael McEwen. Good matchup right about here between two of our number 2 starters. The Mythics and Isotopes both trying to stay competitive, trying to stay around that 500 mark as close as they possibly can. And it's going to be going to the Mythics today. A pitcher's duel it was, as Martin, however, Jason Martin out-duels Michael McEwen, getting his 3rd win of the season. McEwen gets loss number 3. So an exchange of 3s for the starting pitchers, but a 1-0 victory for the Mythics, all because of a run-scoring double by a D. Lowry, which is Darren Lowry, the left fielder for the Mythics. So 5 hits apiece for both ball clubs, a couple of walks scattered in amongst the 27 strikeouts that were combined by both ball clubs. So it definitely was a pitcher's duel, as both starters managed to go at least 7 and have 12 Ks each. Oh my gosh. But the bullpen of the Mythics proved to be too much, as Gloop and Shocker combined for almost nearly flawless innings of 2 strikeout over 2 innings, no hits, no earned runs, no walks, ball. And of course, that is Blue Shocker's save number 9 for the regular season. So a great performance from the Isotope, but an even better one from the Mythics. That'll make both ball clubs go to 15-17 for the regular season, and we'll see how they shape out for the rest of the year. That's a game the Isotopes may come back to have haunt them back closer to the end of the regular season. That might keep them out of a playoff spot right about there. So we'll see how that goes. All right, the last game of the day is going to be the Koalas at the Nobles. Nobles need to get a win right about here, or else they will be tied for the lead in their division. So Muck Chucker up against Carlos Zambrano. Koalas would like to play spoiler right about here and get their 12th win of the season. They just got their 20th loss of the regular season, so they're looking to bounce back from that, I believe. The Nobles looking to be able to keep their division lead at this point, and they won't. They fall to the Koalas. The Nobles will fall back to 500, as the win will actually go to Jose Valverde. Muck Chucker will get the loss, and Holzman. Alan Holzman gets save number 10 for the regular season. Muck Chucker actually he pitched the entire game. Oh my gosh. So Muck Chucker goes the entire game, gives up 3 runs on 6 hits and 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, pitched 121 pitches. Will take the complete game loss, as the Nobles just can't supply him any kind of major offensive support. And the ground out in the top of the 8th inning was all the Koalas needed to scrap 3 runs past and take their 12th victory of the season. The Nobles fall to 16-16. Good performance from Sean Cannon for the Koalas. A 3-for-3 day with a double and a run scored and a walk on top of it all. So a great job by Sean Cannon. Todd Helton had a good day for the Nobles, but they couldn't get any RBIs really started, and it just became a bit of a downhill slide for the entire game, and they will fall to the Koalas 3-2. So a big upset right about there. So these are your standings. These are your standings for June 19th. As we will move into the Friday games on Friday, we will have one more set of games for every single team before we do our Saturday stream. Chris Jardine, still above 500. Great performance from him for the week. Helped propel the Apollos to a victory. Kept them floating, I would say floating in space for their division, right up there with the Astronauts, who have actually been falling back to Earth, actually, technically. But a chance for the Apollos to at least try to make a run for playoffs, if we see about that. 3-way tie, by the way, in that Explorers division, all 21-11 at the helm of the Explorers division. The Barnyard division getting a little bit tighter as the Squirrels get ever so much closer to the Frogs, who have a 22-10 record. That is the best in the league right now. And then the Tikis and Cacti still trying to make up more and more ground against the rest of Neo's Arc division up at the top of the top left Clanky division, or the Clanky League, my apologies. Tiki, they're at 20-12 for the regular season. Cacti are at 19-13. For the Sunny Day League, we do see, of course, our best teams now officially being the Reapers and potentially the Marmots, I think. They're still probably one of our better teams out there. But the Whistlers still trying to hold ground in that People's division. And then we're starting to see some resurgencies from the Lake Monsters and the Kangaroos. So we'll have to see if both of those two clubs can manage to pull off some magic and get into the playoffs here. They are, I think, set to be wild cards. I believe technically they would be 3 and 4, I think. Either they'd be 3 and 4 or they would be, I think, 2 and 3. I'll have to double check on that. But yeah, they are in a good position to be able to make playoffs at this point. So hopefully both of those two ball clubs can keep going. I would very much be interested in seeing the Kangaroos in the playoffs as well as the Lake Monsters. Both of those teams, very good ball clubs. I think they're both very good offensive ball clubs too. All right, guys, that's it for the games. That's it for the Wednesday, the quote-unquote Wednesday games and the Wednesday day. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be seeing you guys on the Friday games and then also Saturday for the live stream on the Twitch channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.